Okay, so picture this Thanksgiving dinner at my family's fancy place, expensive plates, the works. But right off the bat, you can feel the tension. My order gets forgotten, snide comments fly, and there's this weird undercurrent, like everyone's hiding something. And honestly, things are about to get way messier than anyone expects. I mean, wait until you hear what I uncovered. But before we dive in, I gotta ask, where in the world are you watching from today? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious. So, here's the thing. I was 3 days deep into this brutal bronchitis that had me shivering like a leaf and coughing so hard I thought my ribs might crack. The thermometer on my nightstand was stuck at 101.4 degrees. And it wasn't just the fever, it was the exhaustion. This bone-deep tired that made even lifting my laptop feel like climbing a mountain. Every breath hurt, like inhaling tiny shards of glass. And my small apartment felt like a prison, dimly lit by the cold glow of dual monitors. I wasn't supposed to be sick. Not really. In my line of work as a forensic accountant, sick days are basically a myth. Fraud doesn't take weekends, so why should I? But tonight, I wasn't chasing embezzlers or corporate miscreants. Nope, I was doing a favor, a demanded favor. My mom's name lit up on my phone, buzzing insistently against the wooden desk. I stared at it, my eyes burning, because I knew exactly what she wanted. She wasn't calling to check if I needed medicine or groceries. No, she wanted to know if I was still on schedule with Nancy's wedding budget, making sure her daughter's big day wouldn't go off track. My younger sister, Nancy, the golden girl, was marrying Derek, the entrepreneur everyone adored, and my parents ecstatic. Finally, one of their daughters was marrying well. That meant it was my job to make sure the numbers matched their shiny vision. My dad's voice echoed from Sunday. You're good with numbers. Alina, make sure they aren't overspending on flowers. Use that eagle eye of yours for something useful for a change. Useful. Right, I coughed this deep, rattling cough that tore through my chest and reached for the mouse. I just wanted to finish the spreadsheet, send the email, and collapse for at least 12 hours. But, of course, life never makes it that simple. I opened the folder Derek had shared, and chaos hit me instantly. Receipts scanned sideways, bank statements thrown in with catering invoices, random PDFs everywhere. It screamed disorganization, but not in a fun, quirky way. It was the kind of messy only someone oblivious to details could create. I started categorizing on autopilot, florist, venue, deposit, tuxedo, rentals. But then my fingers froze. There it was, a tiny transaction. Buried in the miscellaneous business expenses, $200 labeled J Consulting. Nothing fancy, right boring, even. But in my world, boring is the first clue something's off. I cross-referenced dates first charged 6 months ago. Most recent, yesterday. Curiosity overrode my sickness. I clicked. Merchant code didn't match a consulting firm. Nope. It was a high-end floral boutique with same-day luxury deliveries. Wait, why would he label a gift service as consulting? My curiosity spiked. I ran the merchant ID through a quick search. The results screamed familiar patterns, discreet gifting, exactly like what I'd seen in divorce cases, hidden receipts to avoid detection. I should have closed the laptop. I should have walked away. But I couldn't. Derek's shared cloud drive, full admin access thanks to his tech naivete, opened doors I wasn't supposed to peek through. Screenshots, thank you messages, selfies, all meticulously documented. The bracelet is beautiful. Dee almost makes me feel guilty about Nancy. Almost. Jennifer. I knew a Jennifer. My old college roommate. The maid of honor. My heart hammered. Each image, each message, revealed months of infidelity funded from the money I was supposed to protect for the wedding. and just when I thought I could breathe. My phone buzzed again, a text from my mother pickup. Discuss the menu. You better not still be sick. No check on my well-being. Just a command. A reminder that in her world, my health is irrelevant compared to appearances. I stared at Derek's betrayal, my body trembling with a mix of fever and fury. Closing the laptop slowly, I felt clarity slicing through the haze. Lukewarm water soothed my throat, and I knew I had a decision to make. Call back, face the storm, or hide. I dialed. Her voice came sharp, impatient, silverware clinking in the background. They were already eating without me. I rasped. Hi, Mom, got your text. She noticed I sounded terrible, but not with concerned annoyance. Nancy needs a sister who supports her. You're going to Le Jardin. $150 a plate. Don't ruin the aesthetic. Don't embarrass us. I closed my eyes. The sting of years of criticism washing over me, my weight, my clothes, my career, my single life. And yet, somehow, I answered steadily, I'll be there. And that was it. Hanging up. I stared back at the laptop. Everything was there, the timestamps, screenshots, messages, the mocking notes about Nancy. I could have alerted her, my father, anyone, but I knew the storm that would bring. No, I needed to be present. I needed to see it all unfold. The next 2 days were survival mode. Sleep in 12-hour blocks, gallons of tea, antibiotics like ritual, hoarding energy for what was coming. Derek called, charming, trying to manipulate. I lied, typing carefully while organizing his chats into a PDF for dinner. His words, dripping fake camaraderie, almost convincing if I hadn't seen his texts, calling me the frumpy accountant. He felt untouchable, safe. He thought I was just a quiet, obedient sister who took insults quietly. But he forgot one thing: I don't just count numbers, I make them scream. And that's what would happen at the right time. Okay, so things started getting really, really sticky the moment I opened Derek's shared wedding folder. At first, it was just the usual mess receipts sideways, invoices mixed with bank statements, all in this chaotic jumble that screamed, disorganization. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it, a tiny recurring charge buried under miscellaneous business expenses, $200 labeled J Consulting. I mean, it looked harmless, boring, but in my world, boring is where all the secrets hide. My gut told me this isn't right. I cross-referenced the dates: first charge 6 months ago, last charge yesterday. Okay, wait. What? That couldn't be random. My curiosity, sharpened by years of forensic accounting, overrode my fever and exhaustion. I clicked on the transaction details. Merchant code didn't match a consulting firm. Nope. It pointed to a high-end floral boutique with luxury same-day delivery. Flowers delivered regularly, and why label it as consulting? My mind was already racing. That's the thing with patterns, you notice them fast. I ran the merchant ID through a quick search. It linked to a discreet gifting app, the kind I'd seen before in divorce cases, messages and gifts hidden so the recipient wouldn't show on the main account. It was clever, and that made my stomach twist. I shouldn't have gone further, I knew that, but something kept me glued to the screen. I logged into the shared cloud drive Derek had carelessly given me full admin access to. He probably didn't even realize that giving me access to the budget folder meant I could get to his sync device backups. Rookie mistake. And Derek, yeah, he was completely tech illiterate. There it was, in a folder labeled Receipts Backup Screenshots. Not for taxes, not for accounting, real receipts, no. These were thank you messages, selfies, all neatly saved. The bracelet is beautiful. Dee almost makes me feel guilty about Nancy. Almost. Jennifer, my old college roommate, the maid of honor. My heart skipped. The photos, selfies of Derek with a woman, faces pressed together, grinning. The car interior matched the one he drove to my parents' house last week. And the woman, not Nancy. It was Jennifer from the gym my sister tried setting me up with because, well, she's single and desperate, like, apparently. I am not supposed to notice. I leaned back, air leaving my lungs, nausea, but not from the virus. This was something else. I was staring at 6 months of documented infidelity, all funded by the account I was tasked to balance for their wedding. And then my phone buzzed again. A text from my mom. Pick up. We need to discuss the menu for Thursday. You better not still be sick. No concern. Just a command. It hit me. The betrayal wasn't just Derek cheating. It was that I was slowly killing myself, feverish and exhausted, to protect a future that was being stolen right from under us. My hands trembled. I sipped lukewarm water, letting it soothe my raw throat. Okay, think. Call her back. But what would that solve? I needed proof. I needed the right moment. This wasn't just about catching him. It was about making them see. I picked up the phone and dialed. Her voice, sharp, impatient, silverware clinking in the background, already eating without me, already acting as if nothing was off. I rasped, "Hi, Mom, got your text." She noticed I sounded terrible, but annoyance, not care. Nancy needs a sister who supports her. You're going to Leisure Dan, $150 a plate. Don't ruin the aesthetic. Don't embarrass us. Years of criticism, sting after sting, washed over me weight, clothes, career, singlehood. But I stayed calm. I'll be there. Hanging up, I turned back to the folder. Every timestamp, screenshot, message was there. I could call Nancy, call Dad, alert anyone, but no, that would ruin the plan. I needed to be there, to see it all unfold. I rested over the next 2 days aggressively. Sleep in 12-hour stretches, tea, antibiotics, like ritual. Derek called, voice smooth, trying to charm me. "Hey, Elle, did you finish the spreadsheet?" he asked. I lied, typing in another window, sorting chat logs into a PDF. His words, fake camaraderie, almost convincing. If I hadn't seen the text calling me frumpy accountant, he felt untouchable, safe. Little did he know, I had the dossier ready. I moved methodically, even sick. Fever, brain fog, and all. Each detail mattered. Each photo, each timestamp, each gift message had to be cataloged. I had screenshots of thank you messages, hotel bookings, photos of the woman, receipts for lavish gifts, all aligned with payments out of the wedding account. I cross-referenced dates, locations, merchant codes, everything. The pattern was undeniable. And here's the weird part, I didn't feel glee. Not yet. It was this tight knot of dread and fury. I felt the responsibility weighing on me. The fact that I'd been their invisible accountant, the one keeping their future secure while he siphoned it away. And I had to decide, do I act now, expose him immediately over the phone, or gather every last piece of evidence, make it undeniable, and confront him in a way he couldn't charm his way out of? I opted for the latter. My methodology, years of experience, told me precision over impulse. I checked every last transaction, flowers, gifts, hotel bookings, the floral payments to local delivery services, the GPS metadata showing they weren't for the wedding, receipts for hotel rooms not in the honeymoon location, but in Lincoln Park, all lined up, photos linked to social media, timestamps, confirmation emails. Derek had assumed that the chaos of the shared folder would protect him. Rookie mistake. And my inner conflict. It was constant, sick, weak, and staring at proof of betrayal. Do I rest, let someone else handle it, or dig deeper? Each moment spent digging hurt physically, but morally, I couldn't stop. Every time I hovered over a new screenshot, heart racing, I imagined the dinner, the confrontation. I pictured Derek's smug face when he thought he was untouchable. And the more I saw, the more I knew this wasn't just a betrayal, it was theft, manipulation, a calculated exploitation of my family's trust and money. I documented everything meticulously, PDFs organized by date, receipts highlighted, messages printed with timestamps. I even noted inconsistencies in his explanations, cross-referenced with our bank statements, the wedding budget, and emails from vendors. My brain, even under the fog of sickness, was in overdrive. The evidence was undeniable. The affair was undeniable. Derek's misuse of funds was undeniable. And me, I had to prepare to wield it. And yet, I still wrestled with the morality. Do I confront now? Or wait for maximum impact? The suspense, the tension, it twisted in my gut like a living thing. By the end of it, I wasn't just sick. I was feverish with anticipation, exhaustion mixed with a strange clarity. Derek felt untouchable. He thought he could hide, charm, manipulate, but the dossier I'd assembled made the truth a weapon. And that, my friends, was the point where I realized, come Thanksgiving, nothing would be the same. I wasn't just counting numbers, I was preparing to make them scream. And tomorrow, they would, after those long, tense days buried in spreadsheets, receipts, and screenshots, I knew I had to get my strength back. I rested like my life depended on it, which, in a way, it did. 12-hour sleep blocks, gallons of tea, antibiotics taken on time, letting my body catch up after being run into the ground by bronchitis. Slowly, I could feel the fever lift, that foggy haze in my mind clearing, replaced by this sharp, focused clarity. It was almost surreal, like waking from a dream I didn't realize I'd been trapped in. Once I could think straight, I started preparing not just for dinner, but for the storm I intended to unleash. Dressing was the first step. I pulled out a deep navy blue dress, tailored, sharp, not to hide my body, but to armor it. Every inch had to communicate control, precision, and calm. Makeup was next, subtle but strategic. Dark circles covered, cheekbones highlighted, nothing flashy, nothing that screamed vulnerability. I looked into the mirror and saw not the sick, invisible sister my family expected, but someone ready to confront years of lies and manipulation. Then came the evidence. I went over every folder, every screenshot, every PDF. It was meticulous, methodical. Everything was organized by date, merchant, and event. Every text, every photo, every transaction had its place. It was almost comforting to arrange the chaos into order. I could almost feel the power settling in. This strange sense of preparedness that eased some of the anxiety building in my chest. But even as I organized, my mind wandered to my family. My parents had always overlooked me, praised Nancy for accomplishments I'd quietly supported behind the scenes. I had been their crisis manager, their financial buffer, their emotional punching bag. I had sacrificed time, money, and sleep to protect their interests, and yet they had barely acknowledged it. And Derek, he had walked in like he owned everything, charming, condescending, exploiting my family's trust, my work, and my kindness. The anger simmered quietly, a fuel I tucked deep inside, to be unleashed at just the right moment. I rehearsed scenarios in my head. How would Derek respond if confronted my parents, Nancy? I visualized the conversation, the flow of evidence from my hands to theirs. Each step had to be deliberate, precise. I couldn't let my emotions betray me. Not yet. There was a strange satisfaction in the planning, almost like assembling a puzzle where the picture was poetic justice. And then I packed. My manila envelope held it all printouts, screenshots, PDFs, everything meticulously labeled. I held it against my side, feeling its weight. It was more than paper. It was the culmination of my work, my clarity, my patience, my rage. Walking out the door, I felt the evening chill bite at my exposed skin. I tightened my trench coat, adjusted the purse, and mentally rehearsed each interaction. Every glance, every word, every move had to count. I imagined Derek's smug smile faltering, the arrogance in his eyes cracking under the weight of undeniable truth. I thought about Nancy and my role in her life. She didn't know everything yet, and I had to protect her, even from the uncomfortable truth at first. But she deserved honesty, and the right moment would come. Each step to the car was deliberate, slow, collected. This wasn't just about dinner, it was about reclaiming my presence, my voice, my value in a family that had often made me invisible. My body had healed enough, but it was my mind that was truly ready. I felt like a prosecutor preparing her case. Every detail memorized, every argument rehearsed. The nerves were there, of course. That tight knot in my stomach, the subtle quiver in my hands, but it was balanced by control. I wasn't just walking into a meal. I was walking into a courtroom of my own making, evidence in hand, ready to reveal a truth that had been hiding in plain sight. And as I slid into the driver's seat, tightened my grip on the steering wheel, and glanced one last time at the envelope, I whispered to myself, Nancy hasn't seen everything yet. Tonight, that changes. I wasn't just going to attend dinner, I was going to confront it, to confront them all, and I felt strangely calm, sick, yes, exhausted, yes, but ready, clear-eyed, focused, armed with the truth, and finally prepared to step out of the shadows and into the fire. Pulling up to Le Jardin, I felt my stomach tighten. The valet's eyes flicked over my old Honda Civic sandwiched between a matte black G-Wagon and a sleek silver Porsche. Yeah, Derek's Porsche, or more accurately, the bank's Porsche he was leasing at some ridiculous APR I'd calculated earlier. I stepped out, coat tight around me, manila envelope tucked under my arm like a shield. The cool evening air bit at my exposed skin, and I tightened my trench coat. Inside the restaurant was a cathedral of pretension crystal chandeliers dripping like frozen tears, the faint scent of truffles mixed with old money. My family was already seated at a massive circular table, right in the center, all prime positioning, probably secured with Derek's name. From across the room, I watched. My mother fussing over Nancy's hair like she was prepping a show poodle, my dad laughing too loudly, desperate to impress Derek, part of the boys' club he'd suddenly adopted. Derek. He was scrolling under the table, smirk playing on his lips, not texting Nancy, though he was safe, feeling untouchable. I took out my phone briefly, checking the alert system I had set up earlier. A new post just went live on some luxury lifestyle forum. Derek, 5 feet away, mocking us in real time. And I felt a spike of adrenaline, cold and sharp. The hostess waved, and I moved toward the table, feeling every eye on me without looking like I cared. Alina, you made it. My mom called, voice artificially cheerful. She scanned my outfit, eyes narrowing at my sensible heels. And you're on time. Miracles do happen. Hi, Mom, Dad. I nodded, ignoring his loud, awkward grin. Then Nancy. My sister was glowing, that delicate radiance of being the center of attention, fragile, tired. "Hi, Nance. You look great," I said, voice steady. She squeezed my hand briefly. "I'm glad you came," Derek chimed in smoothly. "Always busy." Flashing his 2 white teeth. He didn't stand up, didn't greet me, because, of course, he felt above it. I slid into the only empty chair, directly across from Derek and Nancy. Perfect positioning, perfect line of sight. Then Uncle Jerry, booming from the end of the table. "This is the financial wizard. The one checking the books." "That's me," I said, unfolding my napkin, locking eyes on Derek. A tiny flicker of unease passed over his face, gone before it could register. Derek smiled smoothly. "Alina is very thorough, but, weddings are expensive. Gotta spend to make memories." "Right, right," my father added, nodding. "And nothing is too good for my Nancy." Waiter arrives, balancing a tray of intricate dishes. Beef carpaccio, lobster risotto, truffle fries. He places them clockwise: Dad, Mom, Uncle Jerry, Nancy, Derek. And then he stops, looks at his tray, looks at me, looks at the table. Empty for me. I apologize. "Madam," he stammers. "I seem to be short one entree. I have the fillet for the gentleman, the sea bass for the lady. I don't have an order for this seat." Silence. "Oh, silly me." My mother gasps, hand flying to her sparkling rings. Derek. "My bad," he shrugs, grinning as if this were funny. So focused on Nancy's dietary restrictions. "I guess I forgot you were coming, Elle. You being sick and all." He lets it hang, watching. The jokes start. Light chuckles from Dad. Uncle Jerry. "Keep it light." They're all thinking. "Swimsuit season, your little bloat, whatever." And me frozen, rage rising like heat through my cheeks. Not embarrassment pure, molten fury. They weren't just excluding me, they were erasing me. My presence, my very existence treated like an afterthought. I glance at Nancy. She knows it's wrong. She sees it, but she doesn't speak. Silence, she never speaks. "It's fine," I mutter, voice quiet. "I'm not hungry." Derek cuts in, grinning at the others. "Problem solved, and Jerry, tell me about the new dealership location." And I sit there, hands folded, placemat empty, watching him charm, mock, manipulate. The basket of bread the waiter pityingly places near me, untouched. I observe everything: Derek's possessive gestures toward Nancy, his smooth talk to my father, the way my mother gushed over the floral arch. And I feel it, that tension in the air, the subtle electricity of humiliation mixed with rage, because the stage is set. Tonight isn't just dinner, it's the beginning of reckoning. I lean back slightly, hands still in my lap, thinking, let them underestimate me. Let them feel safe. That illusion is about to shatter. The moment had come. I reached into my bag, feeling the cool, solid weight of the manila envelope, my fingers brushing against the meticulously organized stack of evidence. Every receipt, every screenshot, every PDF was ready. I could feel Derek's gaze, smug, confident, thinking he had the upper hand, completely untouchable. I cleared my throat, letting the sound draw attention just enough to break the rhythm of their conversation. "Eat up, Derek," I thought, gripping the envelope tighter, "because you're going to choke on the check." The chatter around the table paused, subtle at first, as all eyes slowly turned toward me. My mother's perfect mask faltered, and I noticed Derek's confident smile twitch slightly. The first crack in his armor, Uncle Jerry, always the loudest, tilted his head, sensing the tension. This was my opening. I exhaled slowly, calm, deliberate. My voice was steady, conversational, almost bored, but beneath it, every word carried weight. "Actually," I said, cutting through the pretense, "I was just looking at the floral budget. Interesting you mentioned the arch. because I noticed a discrepancy in the vendor list. Derek stopped mid-chew, eyes narrowing. What discrepancy, he asked, smooth veneer cracking slightly. Well, I continued, leaning forward. The florist listed petals and vows, quoted $5,000, but I saw several outgoing payments of $200 and $300 under a different merchant code, Lux Blooms Express, same-day delivery service, high-end. So, Derek, I said, eyes flicking to him, if these payments were prepaid and Nancy isn't getting these deliveries, who is? A silence fell, heavy and vibrating. Derek laughed a dry, hollow sound. God, you really are an accountant. Aren't you boring us with line items at dinner? It's not boring if it's theft, I replied calmly. My father slammed his hand on the table. Alina, that is enough. You're accusing him of stealing now, just because you didn't get a steak. I'm not accusing him. I said, I'm asking a question. Where is the money going? Because according to the books I reviewed, there's about $15,000 missing from the wedding fund, and it didn't go to flowers. Nancy's head snapped up, eyes wide. 15,000, she whispered, a tremor in her voice. Derek flushed lightly, trying to soothe her. Babe, listen. The transfers are for the honeymoon. I'm keeping it a surprise. Don't worry, it's all planned. Everything is fine. My heart hammered. I had seen the transactions, the receipts, the hotel bookings all lined up. None in the honeymoon location, all in Lincoln Park, GPS metadata, timestamped photos, everything undeniable. I leaned back slightly, letting the weight of the revelation settle, watching his fake composure begin to crack. Derek, I said, flatly. The payments to Lux Blooms Express, the hotels, the gifts, the messages, they're not for a honeymoon. They're for Jennifer. And yes, I have the receipts, the screenshots, the timelines. A gasp swept around the table. My mother's hand flew to her mouth, eyes wide. Derek's charming mask slipped completely, his face drained of color. Nancy's lips parted, a mixture of shock and fear. Uncle Jerry leaned forward, fists clenched, waiting for the punch. You're lying, Derek shouted, voice rising. This is fake Photoshop frame job. No, I said, voice steady, but carrying the weight of absolute certainty. I didn't just look at the numbers, I followed them. Every transaction, every date, every gift, all documented. Jennifer, your profile pictures, messages, hotel bookings, timestamps, all verified. Derek lunged, trying to snatch the papers, but Uncle Jerry was up first. Don't touch her. He barked, shoving Derek back into his seat. Derek froze, eyes wide, trapped. The smug, untouchable predator reduced to panic, searching for an escape. You're crazy, Elena, he muttered, voice shaking. Maybe, I said softly. Or maybe I'm just the only person at this table who actually pays attention. I slid the first sheet across to Nancy. High-resolution screenshot, text thread, date, October 14th. She leaned over, breath hitching, eyes wide, hands trembling. That's Jennifer's profile picture, she whispered. Derek shouted, It's faked. Elena's framing me. She's jealous. Sit down, Derek, I said calmly. I kept the rest of the evidence ready, organized in order, each piece more damning than the last. I slid the credit card statements next, highlighting Southwest Airlines bookings, 2 tickets to Cabo, blocked under a guest ID, paid for with the wedding floral budget. My father's glasses slipped down his nose as he scanned, lips moving silently, processing the undeniable proof. I pushed a photo toward my mother, Derek, at a jewelry store downtown. Time-stamped. Purchasing a diamond tennis bracelet. Holding a blonde woman, not Nancy. She gasped, realizing it was a family heirloom, bought with Dad's retirement savings. Derek's face went pale. Charm gone. Arrogance evaporated. All that remained was panic. Desperation. You don't understand? Derek stammered, eyes darting between Nancy and me. Babe, please. She came on to me. I was trying to end it. It was a mistake. I swear. Shut up, I said, voice dropping, clear, cutting through his lies. I've checked everything. Timeline, receipts, metadata. You're cornered. The room held its breath. Waiters hovered, other tables watching, every eye fixed on Derek. Nancy's face was pale, trembling, still processing, still hoping it might be a mistake. My mother's eyes flashed, fury and disbelief. My father stood, fists clenched, staring at the evidence. Uncle Jerry, sensing the implosion, kept his posture rigid, ready to intervene physically if needed. Derek's voice rose in desperation. She's jealous. She's trying to ruin this. No, I said, voice steady. I'm not doing this to hurt you, Nancy. I'm doing it because I love you. Because I've watched carefully as this man lied, cheated, and stole from you and from our family. My mother screamed over me. If you loved her, you'd shut up not leaving, I said firmly, standing fully. Not until you all see the truth. Derek scrambled for his phone, threatening security. Go ahead, I said, voice low and controlled. Call them, check the footage. Ask them about last Thursday night, the jewelry store, the hotel, the flights. He froze, realizing escape wasn't possible. His confident facade had crumbled into desperation. His lies carried weight, but mine carried proof. Each document a hammer against his facade. Uncle Jerry, sensing the room could collapse into chaos, clinked his spoon against his champagne glass, forcing some semblance of order. My parents, desperate for relief, raised their glasses to a vague note of family honesty. Nancy hesitated, then slowly lifted her glass, trembling. Derek, thinking he survived, raised his glass in response, smirking. I picked up my water glass, stood tall. To honesty, I said, projecting every ounce of clarity and authority. I turned fully toward Derek. Congrats on the engagement. Derek. Oh, and Nancy hasn't seen everything yet. Do you mind showing her your DMs with Jennifer? The name hung in the air like smoke. Derek froze, his glass midway to his mouth, eyes wide, rigid, the entire room aware. Nancy turned slowly, mechanical, like a doll with rusty gears. She followed my gaze, her voice barely a whisper. Jennifer Derek's outburst shattered. No, Elena is insane. She's talking about a client. Not real. I'm showing evidence, I said calmly, sliding the manila envelope forward. Each piece landed on the table. High resolution, time-stamped. Nancy's hands shook. She leaned over, reading, breath hitching. The truth spilled out, undeniable, crushing, immediate. Derek tried to intervene, grabbed papers, but Uncle Jerry blocked him firmly, physically preventing interference. Nancy slowly removed her ring, dropping it into Derek's half-full champagne glass with a plink that sounded louder than a gunshot. Get out, she said, voice steady now, primal, definitive. Derek, wild and desperate, could only obey. I added, voice cutting through, check your email. I just forwarded everything to Dad's lawyer and the police. Embezzlement over $10,000 is a felony in this state. He looked around, eyes darting, realizing his freedom, his lies, and his manipulation had finally collided with reality. He grabbed his jacket and practically ran, footsteps echoing in the restaurant. Silence fell, thick, heavy, almost suffocating. My father sank into his chair, head in his hands, mumbling about money lost. My mother wept quietly, dabbing at her eyes. Nancy stood, trembling, looking at me, the sister she had ignored, dismissed, made invisible just minutes ago. Elena, she whispered. I know, I said softly. I'm sorry. And in that quiet, victorious, tense moment, I realized the reckoning was complete. Truth had been delivered, and for the first time, they had to see me. Not just the accountant, not just the overlooked daughter, but the one who uncovered everything, exposed the lies, and preserved what mattered. The room had shifted irrevocably. Justice, in its messy human form, had arrived. The fallout was surreal. Derek didn't get far. 2 days later, I heard he'd been arrested at O'Hare, trying to board a flight to Miami using a credit card stolen from my father's business ledger. Turns out he wasn't just scamming our family. 3 other families in the tri-state area were already in the middle of FBI investigations. My dossier was just the final, undeniable piece that tied everything together. The wedding was canceled, of course. Non-refundable deposits gone. But the insurance covered most of the venue costs thanks to the fraud documentation I'd compiled. And Jennifer. She vanished from social media, moved back to her hometown in Ohio, tried reaching Nancy once, claiming Derek had manipulated her. But Nancy didn't respond. She blocked her without a word. Inside the house, things felt different. A week later, I found myself at the kitchen table, not hidden away with a laptop in the guest room, but at the head of the table, my father sat opposite me, a stack of ledgers spread out before him. He looked older, more tired, but there was something sudden and new in his eyes, a respect. Finally, fully earned. So he said, adjusting his glasses, the forensic audit shows we can recover about 60% of the liquid assets if we file the civil suit immediately. Yes, I said, pointing to the spreadsheet I had meticulously prepared. I've already drafted the affidavit for the bank. They'll freeze the remaining accounts by noon. You won't get everything back, the travel, the hotels that's gone, but the hardware store is safe. My father nodded slowly, taking a deep breath. Elina, he said. His gruff voice softened slightly. He looked at my mother, who was busy making coffee, back turned to us, usually quiet all week. We treated you badly. Yes, I said simply. He sighed, a mixture of relief and regret. I thought you were jealous. Difficult. I didn't see that you were the only one watching out for us. You're detailed. You're thorough. I'm not difficult. Dad, I said softly, I just don't like liars. My mother turned, placing a mug of black coffee in front of me the way I liked it. No sugary latte. Her voice was small, almost embarrassed. I'm sorry. Elina, she said, I was so obsessed with the wedding, with the image. I forgot to look at the man. I forgot to look at my daughters. She reached out, touching my shoulder lightly. It was clumsy, sure, but it was something, an acknowledgement I hadn't expected, a start at healing. Nancy walked in then, hair in a messy bun, sweatpants, no makeup. She looked exhausted, but also free. She carried 2 plates of leftover Thanksgiving pie, the real dinner we hadn't shared together, just the 4 of us. Quiet, honest, unpretentious. She slid a plate in front of me, a small smile tugging at her lips. Are we talking numbers, she asked. Voice light, teasing almost. Because I don't want to hear them. I just want to know if he's going to jail. He's going to jail, I assured her, taking a bite of pie. She sat down next to me, leaning her head on my shoulder. I'm sorry I didn't order you food, she whispered. It's okay, I said, leaning back slightly, full of more than just pie. There was a quiet, strange peace settling over me. I had walked into the fire, destroyed the lies, and brought the family back to some semblance of reality. I wasn't the golden child, the one everyone boasted about at parties. I wasn't sparkly or charming. I was the accountant. I was the one who checked the receipts. I was the one who saw the truth. And for the first time, they knew it. We sat there, eating pie in silence. But the silence was comfortable, warm. My parents, quieter than usual, seemed to reflect, to breathe, to see me in a new light. Nancy, relaxed and grounded, finally free from the manipulation that had clouded her joy. I took another bite of pie, sweet and satisfying, not just for taste, but for the closure it represented. Later, I opened a new tab on my laptop. Curiosity and habit intertwined. Since we aren't paying for a wedding anymore, I said aloud, half to myself, half to Nancy and my parents. Who wants to see the budget I projected for a family trip? A real one? Somewhere with hiking? My mother groaned, but not in annoyance, more in amusement. Nancy laughed, her energy lighter than I'd seen in months. My father actually smiled. "Let's see the numbers," he said. And in that moment, I realized something profound. Recognition from my parents wasn't about grand gestures or accolades. It was quiet acknowledgement, respect, understanding that I had been there, present, watching, protecting, even when I felt invisible. That was more satisfying than any apology, any thank you, any acknowledgement I had been waiting for my entire adult life. We spent the rest of the afternoon discussing, planning, laughing quietly. The shadows of Derek's deception lingered, of course, but they were no longer looming, oppressive. They had been confronted, dismantled, and justice, however messy and delayed, had been served. The house, the family, the space felt lighter. Clarity had replaced tension. Honesty had replaced manipulation. And I, finally, could breathe without the weight of secrecy pressing down on me. It wasn't just about the money or the wedding or Derek. It was about the truth being seen, about the years of unseen labor being acknowledged, about family dynamics finally shifting to allow a semblance of balance. For the first time, I wasn't just the accountant, the invisible daughter, the scapegoat. I was recognized, respected, and trusted. And somehow, the simple act of sitting together, eating pie, talking, and planning our next adventure felt like the most profound victory of all. And that's the story. In the end, truth came out. Derek faced the consequences, and my family finally saw me for who I am, the one who notices the details, the one who protects them even when they don't realize it. There's a strange peace in that, a quiet justice that feels good to witness. If you enjoyed following along and want to catch more stories like this, consider liking the video and subscribing. I promise the next one is just as gripping.